When I first turned on Farming Simulator 25, after around 30 minutes of gameplay, my question was, is that it? That's the game that people build in their entire personalities around? That's the game where people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in equipment, in a real life equipment? Is this really the game that people swear by and only play this for tens of thousands of hours? And then I remembered that I was thinking exactly the same thing about Euro Truck Simulator, and I decided to give this game another chance. And after a few hours, my reaction changed to, oh, so that's why people are playing this game. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Farming Simulator 25 and deciding whether it is worth it to buy right now or not. And as always, as every single one of my videos, I'm going to be giving you the answer right away to not waste your time. And the answer is very cautious yes. And no, not because game is not fun. It's really fun and I really enjoyed playing it. And it's one of the deepest, one of the most relaxing, and one of the most fulfilling games that I've ever played, alongside games like Euro Truck Simulator 2. And I absolutely loved it. However, there is a huge and giant elephant in the room. And this elephant in the room is a hidden learning curve, not steep, but hidden learning curve, and also some performance issues. But now let's get into the details and talk about Farming Simulator 25. But before we do that, I need to explain what this game actually is. And if you think that this is exactly what the title says, you will be absolutely right. This game is literally a simulator of farming. Pretty obvious, of course. And just like in any other farming game, your goal is to farm crops and animals and basically living a farming life. But unlike many other games like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing or other games like that, this game is all about modern farming. And it's all about the realism, because this game is extremely realistic. Gameplay-wise, when you start a game, you have a choice between 3 different locations at the beginning, and this coincides with North American, European, and Asian locations. And depending on which location you'll start, there will be completely different locations, which will be very large locations to be fair. And then they will be unique with their own unique gameplay elements, and of course with different crops and different farming elements. But usually if you start the game, you're gonna start in a North American farm, because at least at the moment this is the only farm that actually has a tutorial in it. And you start the game and you actually control your character that you can play in first person or in third person, and you're going through a simplistic tutorial. The simplicity tutorial teaches you how to drive different vehicles, how to cultivate the ground, plant the seeds, harvest your crops, use different detachable equipment to transporting your crops, and of course selling them. And when you do all this, it's not very difficult, it's very easy to understand. You will think that that is basically it. And even though core gameplay mechanic is that, basically taking care of land, seeding, planting, harvesting, and selling, in reality there is much more than that. And that's where my first gripe with the game starts, because it's not explained very well, and unless you're using a lot of YouTube tutorials, which is not very difficult to find to be fair, because yeah, this is not a very niche game. There are a lot of players playing this, and there are a lot of resources on YouTube about this. It's still very bad, and it's not really well explained within the game as well, because there are a lot of things in the game that you need to know. Like for example, you need to learn a lot about soil. Like for example, how quality of soil degrades, how you need to enrich it, that you need to use different fertilizers, manure, and things like that. You really need to pay attention to the weather system, because weather can actually harm your crops and damage your harvest, thus impacting your actual income. You need to learn about crop rotations. You also need to learn a lot about animal farming, which is actually not very recommended to the beginner players, but still it's good to have. You need to pay really close attention to the market values, because there is actually very deep gameplay elements of the market that you can actually use for your own good or for your detriment, to be fair, which would be great to learn from the beginning within the game itself. And because there are a lot of things, it might become overwhelming. Thankfully, you can actually change a lot of things in the gameplay settings. Like for example, if you don't want seasons affecting your harvesting and your planting, and if you want to plant your crops and harvest your crops anytime that you want, of course when they're ripe and ready for harvesting, you can actually turn this option off and you can just plant and harvest your crops anytime that you want, which makes it much more fun and relaxing experience rather than focusing on specific time slots that you need to be focusing on all the time. Now granted, this is not a useless feature. On the contrary, it is very fun and very important feature, but in the beginning it will be actually a good idea to actually turn this off, at least until you learn more ins and outs of the game. You can actually turn off the weather damage as well. You can turn off the soil degradation as well. You can even turn the things off like weeds or even plant damage when you will drive over them, which will help you to save you from a lot of headache. But that's actually not all as well. You have a lot of different equipment in the game, which is a core part of the game. And equipment is really varied. It's not just a farming equipment, it's actually transportation equipment as well. Like for example, it has everything starting from motorbikes and regular cars, going to tractors, harvesters, and even even to the trucks and semi-trucks. There are a lot of different vehicles and equipments in the game, which I actually quite love. And what I liked also a lot is that you really don't have to do everything in this game. Game has a very deep and very interesting AI system as well, allowing you to basically hire other people to do a specific jobs for you. Like for example, instead of farming things yourself, you really want to supervise all those farming things. So you can actually hire AI workers for you, and they will do all the things for you while you're just driving around with your car or just transporting your crops and harvest to the markets, which makes the game exactly suited for you or the specific gameplay style that you want to play at that moment. And this game actually allows you to have fun even if you don't want to have your own farm, because the game features a contract system allowing you to basically do the jobs for other people, basically becoming an AI worker yourself, and you can actually use their vehicles as well, allowing you to learn how to use those vehicles yourself before you can actually use them and get them for your own farms. And your farms is also very customizable as well, because you can actually buy and sell different buildings on those farms as well, alongside buying and using different land plots in this quite large open world environment. And the vehicles and weapons that you can get is actually very customizable as well, making it unique for yourself, just like in Euro Truck Simulator, which I absolutely love. And speaking of doing contracts or using AI for that, if you don't want to use AI to help, you can actually hire your friends to do those things for you as well. And by friends, I mean multiplayer. You can actually play this game with your friends as well, which I absolutely love. Farming and doing different things together is extremely satisfying. Like for example, one friend can do a plowing on one field, another friend will be harvesting everything on another, while third friend will be transporting these to the markets. And these things make this game extremely interesting. And of course, just like any other this type of game, this game has huge mod variety, including different locations, different vehicles, different equipment, and different small things that you can use that I absolutely liked and enjoyed. To be fair, I did not use a lot of mods because base game has more than enough content for me, at least, to keep me satisfied and busy for a really long time before I even look at the mods. But mods will probably make this game 1000+ hours for anyone. But of course, this game does not only feature farming, like plant farming, it also features an animal farming as well, which is the first for the farming simulator games, and you can farm different animals and produce different goods from these animals as well, which will be a very satisfying experience. But it's not very recommended again for the beginners. You can do this a bit later, and it's actually a very satisfying experience as well. The only difference is that you don't really need to use a lot of vehicles and a lot of different equipment for this as well. You actually need a specific farming plots and specific buildings in order to do a lot of things. So yeah, not many will be fans of animal farming, but it's not mandatory to do, and it's a really good thing to have, regardless whether you like it or not. But of course, let's talk about another downside of the game, and it is its performance. To be fair, the game was stuttering quite a lot in the game while I was playing. I didn't have a single crash. I had one freeze, which unfroze a few minutes later, but game is not running very well. I used Wheel and I also used Tobii eye tracker for the game as well, and they worked pretty fun right out of the box, and I absolutely enjoyed this. But performance issues is an issue. It's not very bad, it's not good, it's okay-ish, and it's more or less acceptable, but it's still bad to have, and I hope that it will be fixed quite soon, which I'm pretty sure that it will. But everything good or bad can be forgiven if the price is right, and well, in this case, thankfully, this is not a $70 game. This is a $50 game on Steam, and I'm talking about the full price. And of course, depending on the region, you can actually get this for a little bit cheaper as well. So is this game worth it for this price? Well, I think it is. I think it is if you are a fan of this type of simulation games. And if you're not, and if you want to try this for the first time, then maybe wait for sale a little bit. Just to give you a little bit of more clarification, if you enjoyed games like Euro Truck Simulator and you enjoyed it because of how relaxing it is, and despite how repetitive tasks is, you enjoy them, then you'll probably enjoy this one as well. This has, of course, much more variety than Euro Truck Simulator, but more or less the gameplay feel is the same. So if you want the same type of feel in the game, and you understand that you will be doing a lot of farming in this game, and you don't mind this, you'll absolutely enjoy Farming Simulator 25, even for the full price. And this video is sponsored by channel's partner and supporter, Instant Gaming. If you want best games for the best prices all the time, all year round, without waiting for any sales, Instant Gaming is the way to go. You can find all types of games for all the different platforms, and most importantly, for the cheapest prices possible. And I also partner with Instant Gaming for epic game giveaway of your choice. So click the link in the description down below for your chance to win. Thanks to Instant Gaming for their support, and now let's get back to the video. And I talked a lot about Euro Truck Simulator, and if you want to know why Euro Truck Simulator is a truly undying game, you can watch my video about this right here. And if you like farming, you will probably like factory automation as well, because it's a little bit more exciting. So you can watch my best factory automation games list right here. Don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This is Review for Tape, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care.